Hi, I'm Dr. Julia Royston, and welcome to another edition of Live Your Best Life, where I always seek to bring you people, places, tools, information, and resources to help you live your best life. In addition to that, I always want people that inspire you to move forward. Life is hard. I'm just going to take a moment to really acknowledge that and agree with you. And I'm on the same bandwagon. Life is hard, but we are better together. We can get it done if we get the tools we need, we get the information we need. But I understand and respect your need to some days say, this is a lot. I can't do this. This is too much going on. I get it. You're right. But that's what we're here to do is motivate you and inspire you and empower you so that you can live your best life. There are people who have had experiences who understand exactly what you're going through. But we're here to say you can make it on the other side. It can be done. You can get it done. It might not be without tears. It might not be without being tired and dragging along, but you can get it done. So I am here today with my special guest, Miss LaTascha Craig, and I'm not going to go on and on and on because I want her to introduce herself, tell us where she's from, and tell us where we can find her on social media because my listeners all want to be following the guest on social media as well as connect with them if there is a topic or an issue that they can partner with or to be a part of. So, Miss LaTascha, introduce yourself, tell us where you're from, social media, and where they can email you with questions.
Hello, hello, hello. Um, First, let me say thank you so much, Miss Royston, Dr. Royston, for this opportunity. Um, I am so grateful and just peace and blessings to your listeners.
Thank you.
My name is LaTascha Craig, and I am from Louisville, Kentucky, um, the Bluegrass State. And so um, I am also on social media. You can find me there as LaTascha Craig personally, or you can reach out to me on Twitter and Facebook um, at my professional, and it's called Imagine Me. And so on Twitter, I am Imagine Me Rising, and that's how you can reach me by email. It is imagine me rising at gmail.com. So, and it's spelled just like it is actually, um, it's written just like it's actually spelled. So, again, imagine me rising at gmail.com.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So I want to start off with the core of you. I don't know whether you mentioned that you were a mom, but we'll talk about being motherhood and all that that entails. But I think I want to start by asking you why education, why social worker, counselor, teacher, everybody's mama, sometimes somebody's sister, sometimes auntie and
I'm every woman.
you every woman. So why? What is the inspiration behind it?
Um, I would have to say, especially, well, let me start with I think my first job is servant leadership. So my first job is to be a servant leader, and I think that was born out of just how I was raised, being in the household with the two individuals who were responsible for my upbringing and my day to day interactions with the world and that experience. And so that easily led me to social work, um, which is one of those professions where you look toward giving and imparting and empowering and enlightening others and then educating them. And so that part probably led me to just being very serious about what I put into other individuals in their life. And so that's how I got to the educator. The counselor part just kind of fell in there because I am a person who likes to give, and a lot of that comes from giving advice. But having the experiences that I had as a woman and as a Black woman has just led me to wanting to empower others to be their best selves. So, and I will say that my greatest asset would probably be the fact that I am a lover. I'm a thinker. I'm a strategizer. I'm a fighter. Um, and I'm a vision bearer. And so my commitment to the empowerment of others, beginning most importantly with myself, which has been a journey, has been just, what God has given me and leading them, leading and just blessing the people who are directly and indirectly, divinely, you know, or by circumstance connected to me, connected to my purpose, connected to my vision. And, those who absolutely see the passion and understand that that passion is the fire that, drives me. It's not anger. I'm not an angry Black woman. I'm a passionate Black woman who loves very, very deeply. And I would, I do want to see others win. I do believe that, the more you know, the more you grow. And the more you grow, the more you win. And so it is my goal to never be on the winning team and not be able to look back and see the people that are connected to me winning as well. And that's simply because if they're connected to me, then the generations that are connected to them, are exposed to whatever that win is. So I'm very particular and serious about what it is that I impart in people. So that's just kind of how I got to, the educator, counselor, the writer, um, now the entrepreneurial spirit that has been birthed into me. So
It's amazing. It's amazing. So the more you know, the more you will grow. And the
yeah,
more you grow, the more you will win. And that is
absolutely.
powerful. That's a powerful. Somebody needs to write that down because I think that's one of the reasons why some of us don't win as much as we could or we should because
Absolutely.
we stop knowing and growing. We
Yes.
don't want to expand our territory. We don't want to really get out of our comfort zone and
Yes.
really be uncomfortable.
Yes. The,
And
the, the,
Tasha always reminds me of and I say it even about myself, is that, the parable in the Bible that Jesus said, one got one talent, one had two, and one had five. And when the husbandman came back, the one buried theirs, but then the two had four and the five had 10. And Tasha and I are those people. We are those 2 and 5 people. We double
absolutely.
what we have because
I'm
when you're
very grateful.
givers and you love, it is 2 ways.
Absolutely.
It goes out and come the stingy people who hide and, oh no,
Yes.
this is only for me. It doesn't go out. So emotionally and hopefully empowering and
Yes.
inspirational for you all today. One of the major keys of living your best life is living that life not just for you and your
Absolutely.
four and no more, but realizing that your life was intended to help and reach out to somebody else. So,
Absolutely.
at the educational system, I've only been retired there now almost 3 years, and I'm sitting here watching it virtually and everything that's gone on, and my heart just breaks. Not for not in person, but for the little ones.
Yeah.
So I think one of the major things that I always wanted to do is not do the blame game. It's this one's
Yes.
fault. It's not. We're literally, and I know my husband fusses about this very cliche term, but we are all in this together. Even though I'm
Absolutely.
retired, I'm not sitting home. I'm thankful I'm retired, but I'm not sitting home not understanding the heart and the passion and the
Right.
frustration and the potential detriment we're doing to a generation by not providing as high quality of care and educational opportunity as we
Absolutely.
could, because we're in a global pandemic. It just is what it
Absolutely.
is. But I did want LaTascha to really talk about, because she does work with families. She doesn't just work with one child in that building. She's working with whole families that can, as she said, go to the next generation.
Yeah,
And I really want you to speak to those families, because that's a part of your job for family empowerment and community empowerment, about fighting for your child, fighting
absolutely.
for the rights of your child. And even if higher ups make decisions that you don't agree with, how is that going to impact your child? And how are you going to make adjustments so that things can be best for your child?
Absolutely. Um, it's interesting that you would ask me that and just bring that up, especially it's an interesting time in Louisville, Kentucky for that question. Um, because I think I've been talking about that just about every day this week with what's going on with our district returning to in person, and just that just kind of being one of the hot topics right now. Because I think the community feels like they're torn, and but they feel like, we're ready emotionally to go back, but we're not safe. That they don't have confidence in a plan, that plan is safe for our children to return to in-person learning, and to be medically and mentally triaged, because that's really what it's going to be. We've been out of the building for almost a year, and so the trauma that our students have experienced over this last year cannot be conceptualized. Honestly, we won't know what we're looking at until we're looking at it, and we won't know how, as educators, it will trigger us until we are in the midst of that. And so there's some planning. There's a lot of planning that needed to go around that, and a lot of services that needed to envelope the possibilities that could come out of that. And I don't think the conversation has begun to be deep enough to, to even think about um, being able to serve those kids in that manner and serve those families in that manner. We want to go back. I miss absolutely seeing my children every single day in that building. I miss seeing my colleagues. I miss, it's much harder for me to work from home than it is for me to be in the building where my resources are at arm's reach. Having to recreate that at home has been a task, especially since I have two children of my own, who are absolutely my first responsibility. And so having to recreate an educational institution for them at home while, working and still trying to serve my families has been a task. It really has. There's been a lot of trauma that has happened in our family personally this year. And so just having to keep those things in check. One of the things that I always tell my parents, though, is that never lose um, your commitment to asking questions.
Mm.
Ask questions, and it's not just about going to parent-teacher conferences and coming to have lunch at school and being on the PTA. It's about being intentional in asking the questions that are going to give you the knowledge about how to plan for the next stages of where your child is going. You are your child's educational coach. The teacher is there, they plan their lesson, they execute that, and the mastery of that lesson, for your student largely depends on the collaboration that happens between you and that school community. And you cannot wait for someone else to collaborate with you. You must require them to collaborate with you. You must
Mm.
show your face. You must be present. And when I say present, I don't mean seen. I mean present. Your voice needs to be heard. You don't have to be loud to get your point across. You have to be informed. And so, in the way to be informed is to ask questions. Even if the report from the teacher is a good one, ask questions to understand what it is that they are mastering and what they're getting out of that. Talk to your children. They give us more information than we want sometimes, but they are the best information bearers. Even if we have to follow it up with the teacher and asking questions about this and checking, to make sure that what they're saying is correct, you still need to be that open and that intentional about your connection to your child's educational experience, because it is your responsibility. It's your responsibility. And that's the only way that you teach your child how to empower themselves. You're teaching your child by you asking questions, you're teaching them that it is their right and responsibility to ask questions. Never get in a
Yes.
space where you feel like, oh, well, they have it. They know what's going on. Oh, well, they got straight A's. That's great. They can have straight A's. And, a lot of times what you'll find is that students who are in the building and they are not a behavioral issue often get overlooked.
Mm,
And they can sit in that chair, and because they are compliant, and they conform to the rules, they are less likely to get the grade that they would have earned if they were a loud noisemaker.
right.
So you want to make sure that while your child is sitting in that building, in that room, and they're compliant and they're conforming and they're not making any noise, that they're not making any noise because they truly are getting what's going on, not because they don't get it. And so they don't want anybody to know that they don't get it. The only way you're going to know that is to ask questions. That's my major thing that I've been saying all week. We accept things as they are. And if someone were to say to you anything negative about your child, and that that is incorrect, that it would be difficult for you to believe that, what are you going to do? You're going to advocate. You're
Yeah,
going
oh,
to ask
yeah.
questions. You want to get to the bottom of it. And
Right.
there's a way to do that. There's a way to do it. We do have to also understand that it takes a village. No one is a parent of their own volition. Nobody can do it by themselves. It's not even intended to be that way. You are you need to be intentional about the village that you build for your child. And that matters. It matters in a lot of ways in life. The connections that you make for your children early in life carry them in the next stages, and they begin to make those connections themselves. That's how they get to the point where they are great speakers and great writers, and they'll speak up for themselves and they'll advocate for other students, and they become the leaders and the servant leaders, and they are invited to places that others would be overlooked for. Their name is spoken in rooms that their feet have yet entered. We create that stage for them. It is our responsibility.
Most
So, I
definitely.
mean, yeah, I'm very passionate about parents advocating for their children, because no one should work harder for your children than you do. No one.
Exactly, exactly. Now, I must interject because I know that I have listeners not only just throughout the United States, but literally around the world. And I realize in other countries, you're like, what do you mean they haven't been in school? What do you mean? Well, they've been learning online via the computer, as have other countries
Yeah,
and other states and on other continents. But where we are locally, it is the largest school district in the entire state of Kentucky. So
yeah,
therefore, trying to move 100,000 plus students every single day is a task, is an issue. But the core of it, it doesn't matter whether you got 5,000 in your district or you got 100,000 or you got 250,000 in some of the larger districts. You still need to be an advocate for your child. You still
absolutely.
need to create that village and that community, because even if you've been in person since the school year started and you haven't had any COVID outbreaks, which I don't believe, but that you know of, there have not been, and you feel like
Absolutely.
you're, and you
That's
feel
where
like,
that asking questions comes
yeah,
from.
and you feel like your child is saved, great. But there's still
Yes,
questions you need to ask. There's still opportunities for your child who is not a behavior issue. Your child who does make straight A's. You
absolutely.
still should be asking, what other opportunities are for my child to continue to learn and grow? So always, no matter where you are in the world, we encourage you right here, right now. I don't care if you're not in our local community. If you are a parent of a school age child, you need to be advocating for them and fighting for them each and every day, so that not fighting people physically, I mean
No.
advocating for them, advocating for them so that they can get delivered the highest quality of
Absolutely.
academic excellence, and they can achieve and live, because this is their life here. They're building their
Absolutely.
career and their life and their livelihood, their dreams, goals, visions, and objectives are right here through the educational system. So I'm going to stop right there. We're going to take a quick break and we're going to be back with more. And we're back. So, parents out there, I hope you're taking this to heart, taking notes, reviewing paperwork, communicating, emailing, and texting. your child's teacher through whatever communication system that they have, which you should definitely know by now,
Absolutely.
and be able to have access to your teacher. So I hope that empowers you and inspires you to continue. It's a daily task because we don't want a generation lost no matter what. So I want to switch gears right here and move to another really important thing, which, if you can only imagine, Miss Craig is number one is her children and her and being a mother, but she's
Mhm.
also, in addition to a full time job, an entrepreneur, which I'm gonna let her explain her entrepreneurial journey and really why is it important for this side of you that you begin it, start it, whatever stage it's in, that you begin this entrepreneurial journey. Why?
Wow. I think this is the part where the true woman in me comes out, um, especially because as a mother, those things that I dreamed about and had visions about, and just wanted to put my hands in and embrace, I kind of put to the side, not because of motherhood, but because of um, confidence, that I could, walk it out and walk out both of, the dual roles with excellence. And so what happened was I went on a journey, within myself, kind of disconnected from some things that were not serving me well in every area of my life. And I began to forgive myself for the mistakes that I make. And then I went beyond that to the mistakes are purposeful. They're not really, those mistakes lead you to a deeper learning. And so in that, I got back to uh, my first love, just it was writing and being a person that is again, an information giver, an encourager, an empowerment to other people. Especially since I really honestly believe in the village. I thank God every day for the village that raised me. And I think we get lost in, it being a perfect village. There's no such thing. But the village is the village. And every experience that you have coming out of that, you have a choice to allow it to stop you or to push you. And so there were some times when I wanted to fall off the track, but I had my village there. When my arms got weary, I had people on both sides holding them up, just like Aaron did for Moses. And so I'm grateful for that. And so going into all of that, I happened to have a relationship with an amazing woman that had persisted over the years, but kind of throughout life, you kind of get away from each other. You're doing your thing, they're doing their thing. And so it came back together one day by happenstance. And I say that jokingly because I don't believe anything is without, meaning or without a purpose. I think everything happens for a reason. So my son, I've always wanted to be a published author. I've always wanted to write, but my son beat me to it. And I had to look at myself in the mirror and say, baby, now it's good that you're raising greatness, but how dare you allow greatness to outrun you?
um,
How dare you allow greatness to outrun you? Because you are greatness. I had to really begin to talk to myself. And so my son became a published author by way of BK Royston Publishing and an opportunity that was presented to him in middle school. And when I tell you it lit a fire that I just, I have not been able to put out, and so once that fire was lit, it was my time and I ran toward it. There were times when I would be afraid, and second guessing myself, but every time God would swoop in, and just, wrap me up in his favor. And so ever since then, the passion for me regarding writing, I believe that it has saved my life in a lot of ways. I had a village, but of course my childhood was not, it wasn't fairy tale, but it absolutely wasn't, the worst thing that it could ever be. Um, and so in that non fairy tale, realistic still having everything that I need, loving part, I still needed a place where I could go and release me without any judgment. And that I found in paper, and a pen. And so getting to the elementary sector and engaging kids who were traumatized by life, and being able to see those things on their face every single day, I began to have groups, with young ladies and young men. And we would, every time, we got into something, it would always involve paper and pencil for me. Let's write it out, let's write it out. And they enjoy that. So we got to the point where I would give them notebooks and they would write to me and I would write to them. They would write to me and bring their notebook to me, and then I would be responsible for writing back to them. And it just came to me. I was like, after, when Josiah, my son, published, and I ran into the wonderful young lady that I had that relationship with, years ago, I just asked, what would it take for this to happen at my elementary school? Now, I was told, that it might not be a good idea because the kids are so small, but we don't understand how powerful, the statements can be when we tell kids that they can't do something. And so when I tell you that, I was like, now I've heard that a couple times in my life. I'm not taking that. These kids can write, and the difficulty in it was that a lot of them were not on grade level in reading, so they were very ashamed of their writing. But this wonderful young lady kept saying, well, then, we will help them vocalize their story. We'll help them activate the voice that they have. And so it doesn't necessarily have to be about getting things perfect on paper. We just need to get it activated in their heart. And once that happened, it was off and running. We,
Yeah.
since then we published three, I think it is.
Mm,
Is it two or three?
it's two. We're getting ready to head into
Two,
three and
yeah,
four.
we're heading into
Heading
three.
into three and four.
Yeah, we're heading into 3, 4. And so the kids, the idea, behind, them being a published author was great. But I just, the part of the partnership that was the best was them being introduced to the idea of marketing themselves.
Mhm.
It's your voice, it's your story. You're responsible for getting it out there, and you're responsible for how the world experiences it and sees it. And that birthed the entrepreneurial spirit in them that, I don't think we could douse if we wanted to. I
No.
mean, books are flying, they're flying everywhere.
Yeah.
The first one is in Africa.
Yeah.
So, I mean, books are everywhere. And the kids, the confidence that it builds in them, the ability to see themselves differently and to see themselves in the future. Because I used to say when I was working in child protection that children have parents because they don't think past Friday. You know, they don't think past Friday. Get to Friday and I can't see Saturday or Sunday. That's why I nag you. And that's why they have parents, because we're the guide. We can see what's ahead and we guide them. And so when we got to the point that, we were seeing what's ahead for these children and we were guiding them in that way, to, authoring books, their ability to see themselves in the future became astronomically important to them. And when it became important to the child, it became important to the parent. And
Yes.
that's, of course, my thing is I put everything on parents. Parents, I'll say I'm very, very direct in everything that has to do with the child, comes directly from their parent. And the parent doesn't have to be a biological connection. It is the environment that parents them. So any and everything that happens with them is the responsibility of that environment and the people who are running it. And so the next book, I went for parents. And, at first they were, they were kind of, oh yeah, that sounds good. But once they saw their child, in that book published with an ISBN and a photo on the front, and, and their story actually printed in their picture, it was amazing the transformation that they had, and so many of them have said, the opportunity to do that, has been life changing for them, and so that, you know, honestly, that part of being an entrepreneur is the passion part. And honestly, that's what really drives me. That's the fire behind moving, past my 9 to 5. Um, if that's the push, that even when I don't feel like I can, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not smart enough, or I'm not talented enough, that the love that I have for empowering other people is what pushes me past that 9 to 5. And I'm so grateful. I'm grateful. Sometimes, that the heartstrings that are pulled on me are a blessing, and they can be, I won't say a curse, but less than a blessing sometimes. I've
Well, it's a
had to learn
weight.
how to
It's a
truly,
weight.
yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a weight
absolutely,
sometimes.
heavy, heavy, heavy. And I've had to learn how to really take care of me. I
Mm,
really had to learn that. And so part of being an entrepreneur is taking care of me.
mhm.
My passion is what I do past the 9 to 5. I love what I do 9 to 5. That is, it affords me the ability to, the delve into my passion. It is my purpose at this point in time. But, that part past 9 to 5 where I get to, grab on to some other people that I normally would not have the ability to touch, in arenas, is what, you know, that's what drives me to it.
Yes.
That's
And
so
you got to have something that your heart is in because,
yes.
and I often say entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart.
No,
It really is not.
a lot of
Um,
work.
but you got to have something that fuels it. You got to have
Yeah.
something that, as they say, when the wood is cold and the rain has
Mhm.
done got on it and the wind and the
Mhm.
snow, you got to have something inside that you brush the snow off. You dry out
Yes.
the wood and you go get that match and you light that
Yes.
fire again and you say, no, 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 I'm not going to stop until we complete it. I'm not going to stop until we finish it. Because you can imagine trying to meet with young people. We had to meet virtually, we couldn't meet in
Yes.
person. We had to do everything via technology because, of a global pandemic. So therefore, we could have easily said, no, we're just not going to get book two done. We're just going to wait. But the fire, the passion, the children, their parents, all of that came together
Yeah.
to release the latest book. And we're going to be back in just a second to talk more about these books. You got to be ready. Let's go. And we're back. And everybody who listens to me, this is my favorite part. We rolling out books here, so get ready because I want you to be able to purchase the book and support these young people
Yes.
in the books that they have written. It is incredible. I have no biological children of my own, so these are my legacy. These are my
Yes.
babies. These
Yes.
are my writing babies that not only just the book themselves, but these children are going to be the published authors
Yeah.
now and in the future because they're going to continue to write. So, book number one was World Changers.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so Tasha, tell me how you picked the kids. How did you get the children together for that?
Okay. So in sequestering the expertise of a um, publishing company, BK Royston Publishing Company,
Thank you.
um, I wanted, I did want them to have quality written work, but I also wanted them to have work that they could feel connected to. And so we did some little workshops in school where I would, I met with I chose the fifth graders because they are the outgoing group. And so they're going on to middle school. And for them to be able to take something with them into one of the stages of life that can sometimes be very difficult. Those middle school years are pivotal for kids. So.
So with the book projects, first off, tell me, how did you select the young people or the students to participate in the book?
So I started with the highest level in our building, which is fifth grade. And what I did was first I asked the teachers, just for their input on, who they thought would be um, great creative writers. But as I did that, and you can do that, but sometimes children surprise you. So what the teachers allowed me to come in and meet with the fifth grade classes. And I explained the opportunity, I explained my vision, I explained, the purpose of it. And um, Then I asked them, who would be interested in participating. And once I said, that you could be a published author, believe it or not, we had a mix. We had kids who were like, oh, yeah, great. And then we had other kids who were like, absolutely not, and I don't know if it was the idea of lights, camera, action for them that kind of, had them hesitating. But I went on to explain the publication process and the fact that they read books every day. You read textbooks, you read novels, you read Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Somebody wrote those books. Somebody put them out there so that they could be published. And now you're enjoying them. How much how much would you get out of being able to see other people enjoying your work? What if you were the individuals who wrote your textbooks? You wrote the textbook that kids are learning out of, and so when I explained it like that, a lot of the kids were interested. I had a process that I walked them through where they had to, we got to the commitment part then. So there's a commitment in it, and I explained that to them. You have to complete this commitment in order to be a part of the process ongoing. And so that kind of weeded out some kids as well. And I told them that's fine, because this is something that you have to be committed to. And so once they, turned in the project and so forth, and they were selected, I sent home information to the parents because that's my next block. I need parent support. This is a village um, opportunity. This is a village experience. And that's exactly what I wrote in the letter to parents. This requires your commitment as well. And so once the parents signed off on it, I began to meet with the children during the day, and then they would do workshops with BK Royston Publishing. She would come in and workshop with the kids and walk them through the writing process. They would get to some editing, some development of their ideas, just brainstorming, developing characters. Where's this plot going? We gave them parameters on what the story needed to, what it could include, what it couldn't include.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, that's important.
Exactly.
That's important.
Yeah.
And so our topic was world changers, which
Yes.
it sounds exciting, uh, especially to someone who's older. They gonna be world changers, but for a kid, they were like, "Yeah, I'm gonna move the building upside down," and I was like,
Oh
"Oh,
yeah,
okay,
no, they
yeah,
was turning it upside down all around.
yeah,
We
yeah,
let their imaginations go, but we sometimes we
yes,
have to reel
yes,
that thing back in.
yeah,
Say, oh wait a minute, we got to have pulling limits, but we
absolutely."
can't
So that
reel it back in something that we don't have. So we
absolutely,
had the creativity. I mean, their
yes,
minds could go there even at fifth grade. So that
yes,
was book number one. That was World
yes,
Changers, and then we recently released My Life Matters. Now,
yes,
it's amazing. I have to say this part because she was already working on her end on book two, and I said, "Oh my gosh, we need to." And she said, "I'm already on it." So we hadn't even really we had talked about it, and we hadn't really,
uh-huh,
even we didn't really fully have a contract. Everything is just boom, a clash of
yes,
ideas. So it's always good to work with people who are
yes,
thinking and moving in your same direction. If nothing else, make sure that whoever you're working with, a writing coach, a publishing
yes,
company, make sure that they're moving in the same direction because we wanted to be relevant. And these children were elementary, middle, and high school
yeah,
students. So we kind of had a range, but they weren't old enough to go out and protest. They couldn't
yes,
go in the streets and riot. And
right,
for those of you who are around the world, because I've done some events with international authors and poets, they everybody knows that Louisville, Kentucky, was one of the center
yes, it was,
spaces for injustice and writing, based on and around the Breonna Taylor case. Now
yeah,
the George Floyd case was somewhere else, but this was in our home. This was in
yeah,
our backyard. This was local to us, but it was not local. This is where it happened here locally, but the world literally knows where Louisville,
absolutely,
Kentucky is and who Breonna Taylor is. So the babies that we were working with doing this writing workshop for book number two, which is My Life Matters, they weren't old enough. They shouldn't have been old
yeah,
enough. They weren't shouldn't have been out there, and they weren't out there to actually do riots or to protest. And thank God they weren't in harm's way and in the dangers
Yeah.
that came from a lot of that, the protests, etc., and the clashes with police, and just the whole
Yeah.
situation was horrific on so many levels. But they had something to say, and that's
Absolutely.
where I get, and LaTascha and I are both. We've got to
Yes.
activate our voice. We've got to
Absolutely.
leave, not just a time capsule, a shoebox, but we got to have the
Absolutely.
living, breathing words of the generation that's looking for the future. Going, it doesn't look very bright, really.
Yes.
And and this could happen. And she's much older, maybe 10, 12, 15 years older, but that's still somebody that
Absolutely.
could be me. She looks like me.
Yeah.
And she's my same skin color. So wow, could that actually happen to me? So how did you select the students for this? This one was
Whew.
quite a bit different.
Yeah, this one was quite a bit different, is an understatement. Um, However, in selection of these students, I reached out to parents simply because the content of this particular book was going to be something that could have been controversial. And so I wanted to reach out to the parents to ask if they would be willing to allow their student to participate in sharing how they felt, about what was happening in our country and in their own backyard. And while she is older than them, a lot of the students um, were, connected to vacation ways that they went to school with family members of hers, and so they may not have been out there, in the thick of it, but they definitely had residual things that were going on with them. And so I reached out to the parents, and the parents that did agree, then I hounded the children, and so, gave them the parameters. They went to writing, and when they wrote their stories, they would send it back for editing. And we'd send it back with revisions, or, have you thought about this, or some coaching type things. But this was one of the greatest, probably one of my proudest moments,
Mm.
simply because Imagine Me LLC being the company that I've started, and Imagine Me is imagine myself empowered, um, was the collab the we compiled the project, and so we worked together and collaborated with BK Royston. But to see the life that was breathed into those pages in between those two covers by those children is, it's inexplicably beautiful. And so it was an easy love affair.
Yeah.
It was an
Yeah.
easy love affair. And so also one of the greatest things that came out of it too was just watching the kids market themselves. We had a meeting where we talked about, what it means to have a published book. What does that mean, and what could that mean for you in your future? Because you all are, some of them are elementary, some of them are middle and high, but you are looking at your future. Things are happening in your life right now. They're going on around you. You're looking forward. What could this mean for you? What should it mean for you? And I spoke to the parents and let them know, there are some things that we allow our kids to do, and there are some things that we require them to do. And one of the things that you should require them to do moving forward from this is to continue exercising their voice. They need to continue doing that, because it gives power to their purpose, and so you want them to be able to look in the mirror and see somebody that they can be proud of. And they don't have one gift, they have several, and they should use them all, and so some of them were greatly talented in the area of selling, their books. Some of them sold more books than
Then they
well,
even have books. They got to
yeah,
order more books.
yeah, they outsold and had to order more. So they found great talent in that. And it
Yeah.
really sparked something,
Yeah.
for them, and they have plans, one of them has created a website and linked everything to it so that he can continue to get his message out there. And
Yeah.
so another is, he's giving books to, he's gifting books to certain people. I mean, just wonderful, beautiful things have come out of. The girls have been phenomenal in continuing to correspond and write, and I want to do this, I want to do that, and they've had interesting opportunities to come out of that, because we've had a couple people reach out to us about the kids, the authors being able to, showcase this, this work of their life on different, different stages in different ways. The virtual world opened up so much more.
Oh, yes, it did.
Yes, it has. And
Yes, it
so
has.
they are extremely grateful for the opportunity. They're extremely grateful for BK Royston. And I am extremely grateful that Imagine Me was able to be a catalyst as well. So
It's
I
wonderful.
just,
Okay,
like I
so I
can't.
got to give the email. So if you are a part of a school district, if you are a nonprofit organization, if you're a
Yes,
ministry, if you're a local school, it doesn't matter, elementary, middle, or high, and you are interested in this writers workshop, or you're interested in this program that I'm the publisher of, but we have collaborated totally on the workshops themselves, and being in the virtual space, it doesn't matter where in the world
yeah,
you are. We can make that arrangement and work around that and set that up. So it's
yeah,
imagine me rising at gmail.com.
yes,
So it's just like it sounds, all lowercase, imagine me rising at gmail.com. Give this opportunity to your children. Give this
yes, absolutely.
opportunity to your nonprofit organization. If you're wanting to contribute and then gift it to someone else, we can do that too. We have nonprofit organizations
Yeah,
that we can do nonprofit to nonprofit. We can do business to business. However you want to do it, we've got you covered. We
yeah,
just need to know that you're interested and you're serious, and that we have, the permissions and all that. We can take care of the legalities of it.
yes,
But I'm telling you, the light in the eyes, not only of the children, but the parents, sparked something that was incredible,
absolutely,
on
absolutely.
so many levels. And then, of course, as we stated earlier, being in the virtual space, it allowed, with parent permission, for the parent and the child to go on other platforms to be heard by
Absolutely.
other adults in a safe environment, but other adults to promote the book, to talk about the writing process, and
Yes.
to continue to sell the book. And now we got to reorder books, which is a
Yeah.
wonderful thing. So I
I mean,
wanted
we've
the
had,
children, yeah, I wanted the children to have that experience of, selling the book, because there's nothing like, for an author
hmm
to have a book and they hand the book and somebody hands you actually physical cash or cash app or something, and they see that account
yeah,
growing more and more. So in addition to this, taking it to the next level, because you have young author events all the time, and they write a story and they submit it and they don't know what happened to it. But
yes,
with this, you actually have a physical product that you can sell and make the profit, and it's yours, and it goes in
yeah.
your piggy bank, or it goes in your college fund, or it goes
Your
in
IRA,
your
retirement
IRA,
account.
or your investment account
Yes, yes, for
for
generational wealth.
exactly. And so we're building generational wealth, in addition to producing, hopefully, Pulitzer Prize winners and
Yes,
poet laureates and all that good stuff
yes.
in the future. And I'll be somewhere old watching them online and just going, "Oh, that's my baby. So yay, honey. No competition over here. They can do it. I'll be rooting them on,
Yes,
swinging my cane at the door, at the Zoom link. I'll be swinging
yes.
my cane at the Zoom link. So thank you so much, Miss Craig, for
Thank
the
you.
opportunity. Thank you for having the vision and like-minded tenacity.
Yeah,
And with a like-minded vision and determination and tenacity, we will continue to move forward. Be on the
absolutely.
lookout for book 3 and book 4. We'll figure
It's
out. You just
coming.
keep it's coming, y'all. Just keep watching for us. And if you would like to again order book orders of My Life Matters, please go to imagine me rising at gmail.com, and we'll see about getting you
Yes.
book orders of that for your young people,
Yeah,
for your school, for your district, whatever it takes. We'll make sure that that happens. So we
absolutely.
love you all. Thank you very much, Ms. Craig, and you all be blessed, and know today,
Thank
tomorrow, and always, my prayer is that you live your best life. Have a great day.